Yeah. So hi everyone. Welcome to the learners orientation for practical machine learning course. As we mentioned on our social media channels, we're going to record the orientation to make sure that it's accessible for all learners out there. So yeah, welcome once again, and it's the orientation is just really meant to show you what the course is like and what you'd probably expect, and of course, like you're seeing it down there, what you really need to know is here. So yeah, I think before we go on, I think you get to know us. So we are two here, and I'll actually allow my colleague to introduce himself before I do. Yeah. So all right. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Um, Welcome. I'm George Buma Smith by name. Okay. Um, I've graduated from the Department of Statistics. I'm a statistician and a data scientist. I've been practicing data science for a while now, and it's a lovely field. Believe me, it's a far too lovely field. Okay. I don't just practice this. I also have people under me. I do teach, I instruct them, I have interns, and the rest of that. This is a field that you can never know it all. I'm learning, but in the process of learning, I'm also instructing others, and it's making my learning experience to be far too exciting. Okay, it's far too exciting doing that. So, that being said, once again, welcome to the course. We are going to be running you through what you should be expecting. Okay, from the very first day or the very first time you're going to be having this class with us down to the end. And believe me, with the amount of instructors we have, and you're going to have a lovely moment, and we hope that we also do to have that lovely moment with you. I think I should hand it over to Steven to continue with you guys, and then I think we just do this alongside, okay, and see what we can come up with.
All right. Thanks, George, for that. So yes, George is a very experienced trainer in the field of data science and of course machine learning, and of course a statistician, and has a lot attached to his bio with a lot of experience under his belt when it comes to instruction and instructorship and things related to that. So here is a learning program facilitator for the Port Harcourt School of AI. We'll get to introduce what Port Harcourt School of AI is soon. So here I am on the right. Okay, George is on the left, of course. So here I'm on the right. I'm the lead volunteer for Port Harcourt School of AI. A brief about me: really a person who loves solving hard problems. That's pretty much on my bio everywhere on social media. And I'm also a data science consultant. I've consulted for a couple of mobile solutions companies, and on seeing how you can, of course, apply enterprise workflow pretty much to their business process when it comes to data science enterprise workflow to their business process. And I currently have a project in production that hasn't broken yet, of course, but that's what I pretty much do on my on as a major profession. So consultancy, and of course I also run communities on the side as well. And let's see, so that's pretty much it. And of course I love teaching, so that's it going forward. So I think we'll go forward to the next slide, and that's today's agenda. So we'll be running you through, first of all, introducing you to the Port Harcourt School of AI, of course what the entity is. Of course you get to know the why we're here, of course the practical machine learning course, the initiative behind the practical machine learning course, of course how the course runs, our study group program information, which is of course very vital to how we run our programs here at Port Harcourt School of AI, and the pricing options for the learning tracks. Of course, where you get to know the various costings and costing per se attached to the various learning tracks. So what happens after you complete the course. So what are the perks, what are the benefits, what you should expect at the end of the course and so forth. Then of course other initiatives from the Port Harcourt School of AI. So we're going to be running you through all of those, and hopefully less than 40 minutes or so. Yeah, so first off, we are of course Port Harcourt School of AI. Who we are, really, you can really find that on our website there. Of course, I'm still going to be explaining that, but you can find that on our website at phcschoolofai.org. Why we do this, of course, it's embedded in our report, our community report from last year. Then what we do, of course, can be found on lots of things we do on Twitter, and so first of all, let's go to who we are. So, Port Harcourt School of AI is a non-profit social organization whose mission really is to build a competent and collaborative AI and data learning community in order to solve local, societal, and problems, of course, and improve people's standard of living. So we are really focused on how we can build competent members, competent people, and competent interested persons per se, in a collaborative manner that can help solve societal problems. That's what we look at the school. How can we see how what's being learned can actually provide something of social value to the society, and not just, of course, building competence, but making sure that people who actually learn this skill from various community initiatives like what we do get to give back to the society and help, of course, making their society a better place. So that's really who we are, and really why we do this. We do this to strive towards democratizing AI and data education by creating equal and accessible opportunities for everyone interested in AI, technology, data professions through a radical change in the typical educational system. Of course, we explain the radical change we're talking about, and as well as increasing the standard of living of people through these technologies in Port Harcourt City. So, like we said, we are all about making sure that these technologies are accessible, whether it's the education of these technologies, making sure that wherever we are making these places, whether it's a city we are in, of course, Port Harcourt, we're trying to make sure that it's data driven from the small businesses, making now data driven decisions rather than relying just on intuition, making sure that the education gets to business owners, the education gets to enterprise owners, the education gets to small, medium scale businesses, and how they can actually effectively get ahead with the business or provide more value with their business through effective data driven decisions. And of course, democratizing to not just business owners, secondary school children, making sure that they are prepared for the future of work, and of course, adults who are willing to switch careers into the space of artificial intelligence, data technologies, or adults who are willing to apply these technologies to their space, making sure that the technology isn't far-fetched from them. It's something that it's definitely accessible through the community programs and community networks. And yeah, that's really why we do what we do at Port Harcourt School of AI, to make sure that everyone can access AI and data education, as well as access the use of the technology, and of course the opportunities that the technology creates around those. So what we do, as a non-profit, we are actively working on actualizing the sustainable development goal of inclusive education. Of course, that's the SDG 4 set by the United Nations. That was about a few years back or so, making sure that we ensure inclusive education, and that's why we talk about when we talk about, going back to the slide on why we do this. You can see through so let me turn my pointer. So you can see through a radical change in the typical educational system in the country. Of course, we're in Nigeria, where we have a really arguably, of course, maybe not arguably bad educational and training systems, and all of this. And so how can we solve this problem as a non-profit? It's pretty much what we are looking at, and that's why we are focusing on actualizing the sustainable development goal of inclusive education, and making sure that education is accessible for everyone, whether it's the people in the rural areas, or making sure that if it's the way we are presenting the material to people or presenting the education to people, making sure that it's inclusive and it's accessible to them through different languages or through different programs we run our through different languages we run our programs, and or through different methods we run our programs. And so of course by offering various programs that help in our vision of democratizing AI and data education, of course by providing by creating equal and accessible opportunities for members interested in AI and data technologies is pretty much at the core of what we do. So whatever program we come up with at the Port Harcourt School of AI, it's always going to be centered around how can we democratize AI and data education by creating equal and accessible opportunities for members interested in AI and data technology. So that's pretty much what we do at Port Harcourt School of AI. So we've had our story so far. Of course, we started around 2018, just as a community, just like of course any other technology community out there, seeing how we can bring a network of people together and kind of see how we can share knowledge, occasionally hold meetups and so forth. But in 2019, we decided upon a radical restructuring per se, and seeing how we can actually make this even more sustainable and even more goal oriented or vision focused by turning it into an actual, by restructuring into an actual non-profit. That was 2019, but officially we started 2018 running some couple of meetups and how people can do research, how the latest in the AI space and so forth, just going around that. But right now we're actually transitioning into a full non-profit, and looking to see how we can scale our impact and reach more and make sure that we have more impact on people's lives, and of course hopefully get to our goal of making sure that Port Harcourt is actually a data-driven city, and of course going beyond that. Of course, you can learn more about our activities. These are the short links for you to do that. Twitter is one place where we post a lot of what we do, just to make sure that we are social media aware of things. And of course, people are pretty much everyone is on Twitter these days. So yeah, so that's a space whereby we see how we can share what we do to people and put it out there to the entire global community. But you could read our reports. Of course, this is the first link is for our report, and the second one is for linking to our social media channel. Yeah, but really this orientation is about you, and it's not really about us anymore at this time. We want to make sure that you get to understand what this course entails, and of course you get to so that you can really make your choice on whether it's really the right course for you or not, or it's something that you probably pass on with us. So yeah, it's about you now, because successful communities are those that put their members first in every plan, and that's one thing we try to do a lot at Port Harcourt School of AI. We try to make sure that every plan we make are learner and community centric. So every plan we engage in, whether it's what meetups are we going to come up with, what value does it provide to the members, what value does this opportunity that this external stakeholder is bringing into the community, what value does it provide to the members? If it does not provide any great value to the members, then we don't want it here. And that's what we try to do at the community, because that's what we believe communities are. Like, if communities are all about the members, it's not about the people running the community. They are really not about the resources used to run the community. Pretty much a lot of those are factors, yes, but the major on the core of a community is pretty much in the organization of its members, and of course how the community has the members' interest in mind. So a community is always member centric. Great communities are always member centric in any case. So that's what we try to do for us to really attain that status of great community, of the great communities per se, that we know that we make sure that we put members first in every of our plans. So yeah, so we are zooming into the practical machine learning course right now. I'll pause right now, of course, to ask George if he has anything to add to that.
Okay. As regards to what he has told you, Mr. Steven has told you. Um, this course is all about you. Okay, what we are doing right now, it's all about you. It's not just about us. What you should do is, or what you should need to know is that you're coming to learn, and not just learning. Like the course implies, a practical machine learning course. You're not just trying to learn this and be equipped with this knowledge and then use them for nothing. No. Our target is to look at the sustainable development goal. So whatever you're doing, you should be thinking of how you can apply them in solving these particular problems, solving problems in your community. Okay, if you don't want to start with your community, you can even start from your home, start from your house, start from your friends. See how you can apply whatever you're learning. Every day you receive a class from us, you receive a session from us, you should be wired in your thinking. Hey, what I've learned today, how can I use it to solve problems? Okay, from what I've done today, if I can't really apply it in solving problems, can it be part of a larger problem I want to solve? Okay, you should always have a way of jotting things down. Okay, you should have a target. Okay, before I finish this course, I want to be able to do this, so that whenever you have a session on this course, you'll see that session, does it help you in any way to achieve what you've documented, what you want to achieve by the end of this particular course. Okay, so you should be prepared, very much prepared for this course. It's going to be a lovely one, believe me. It's going to be far too exciting, and I can't just wait for us to get started with this. I think okay, Mr. Steven, what do you have to say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty much. Of course, we get to introduce the course to you. So, we know we are one part is trying to get you excited, but another part is trying to tell you, okay, this course might be right for you, but then again, it still might not be right for you, and all of this. And so, that's also we're just going to get started introducing the practical machine learning course. And of course, George has said it all. It's all about problem solving. Right, that's if you by the end of the slide you get to know that the learners we envision after this course will be the ones that can actually solve problems with the technology. It's not just about, it's not your regular boot camp where you get to get the knowledge and whether you just go somewhere else or do anything with it. No, it's about problem solving. Each and every time you spend in the class, it has to get your time, every hour pretty much you spend in the class has to be geared towards whatever time you're using. Is it solving, is it kind of progressive towards solving a problem, progressive towards a knowledge that will help you solve problems, that will help you create solutions. And that's pretty much what the practical machine learning course is really all about. It's about everything you do in class should really give you the ability to solve problems with this course. That's pretty much what it's done. So yeah, so that's the hashtag is of course pmlcourse on Twitter. We are looking to move on to Facebook, Instagram and Pinterest now for social media reach, and so we're going. So first off, the initiative behind the machine learning course. So the initiative behind the practical machine learning course, of course, why we came up with this course, get to let you know. So here is an amazingly simple but brilliant quote from simple and brilliant quote from Michael Allen. Is we really don't care about what people know, and that's the age we are in. We are in the age whereby, look, people can know anything. You could Google stuff, and that's the thing people don't know right now. You could Google stuff. Yeah, that's all about this thing about compound knowledge and all of those things that you hear Warren Buffett or all of those other motivational people say. Well, see, it's not about what you know anymore. It's about what you can do, and that's in our world right now where there's a plethora of information out there. It's about what you can do. How can you take information that has been given to you and kind of harness and structure such information in a way that you can actually solve problems? There are lots and lots of problems in our world, in our societies. Of course, you have lots of problems around you there. I know because of course the world is full of lots of problems. So how can you really take this knowledge, this thing you know per se, or this thing you think you know, and structure it in such a way that you can actually do stuff with it, you can actually solve problems with it. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what our world is pretty much in need of. These are people our world is really pretty much in need of these days. So we don't care about what people know, we really care about what they do. It's all about performance, and it's all about performance, it's all about the results that are being put out there. And that's pretty much a great take by Michael Allen. And really, yeah, at the community as well, trying to structure this program, we really just care about what you can do. And for us, our learning programs here in the community is really a mix of empathetic human connection that will help you enhance that will help really enhance a learner's ability quickly, and educational technology that will help personalize the learner's competency progress. So this is really about how we have structured such learning programs to make sure that every way we structure this program is just to make sure that you can do things. You do not just know things, of course, like any other program will teach you how to know things, but you can do stuff, and that's it. So every time you spend in a class, or every time you spend in the training room, is about you doing stuff. It's not just about you knowing stuff alone, but about you doing stuff, right? Anybody can know stuff these days, just know that, but not everyone really can do stuff. And that's the most exciting thing about this course we are really looking at. So how the practical machine learning course runs, how it works. The practical machine learning course, first of all, I must note that it's not a beginner course in machine learning, right? So if you had gone through the syllabus, of course we'll still go through the syllabus. It's actually it's a slightly intermediate course, but so you definitely have to know some few key things. And it's using the Python technology for machine learning. We don't use R yet, but it's using the Python technology, and you must have known some few things with Python before you actually enroll for this course. It's actually stated in the announcement blog post for the course. So, but first, there are like 3 tracks for the course. You have the prerequisite track that runs for 5 weeks, and the prerequisite track is all about teaching you all about how you can really use the basic libraries like NumPy and Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, to really help prepare you for the main machine learning track at hand. So, but first of all, we start with the design thinking process, because we believe that this practical machine learning course is actually going to enhance your AI enterprise workflow pretty much. So as much as we can, we know that for you to really be an effective modern day engineer or modern day data scientist, you need to be able to know how to think and build products empathetically. There are lots of problems with data scientists and machine learning engineers building products these days, and it's all about you're building products that actually interact with the real world. Unlike arguable software engineers who of course build products that might that actually they can actually predict when they break in production. With machine learning engineers, you pretty much don't see those things coming, right? Whether it's the way you collect data, the way you collect your data collection methods or your algorithm building methods and all of those things. You need to make sure that you build empathetically, kind of. And so we start the prerequisite track with a design thinking practical workshop. Of course, we have an expert facilitator take you through the design thinking process and have you of course we have instructors guide you through how you can effectively think like an engineer, or really what an engineer is, and how you can direct those workflows to that understanding as well. Then that runs for 5 weeks. Of course, it also in the prerequisite track you also get to learn some basic mathematics and the statistics and probability actually needed for the data science. So for the prerequisite track, we've actually cherry picked the mathematics for you, the basic mathematics needed for getting started in machine learning, and of course we of course cherry picked the statistics and probability needed as well. Just pretty much the most important knowledge for you to apply. Like we said, it's not really about what you know, it's about how you can apply what you know, and we cherry picking all of those needed mathematics are how you can really use those in an applied manner, and that's really what the prerequisite track takes you through. Then of course the main track 1 You have two main tracks. The main track one, of course, is the machine learning track. Has about 21 weeks of intense training. I mean, it's when I mean intense, I'm not really over exaggerating. In fact, I'm under exaggerating at this point, because it's actually a very rigorous boot camp. It's a rigorous boot camp whereby you get to do things, and doing things takes a lot of energy. In fact, the way we envision this course is, look, we envision this course as though you're already working as a data scientist, or you're already working as an ML engineer, because each and every project is tailored towards solving a particular problem, right, or working with particular colleagues or things like that. So what we do is we try to simulate the typical workplace environment in the classroom, right? So it's not going to be difficult for you to really transition from the classroom to the workplace, because you already had the experience, a lot of experience of that environment in the classroom before. So that's what we're trying to do, and it's about 21 weeks whereby we get to cover the core of machine learning in a very practical sense. Now, of course, we have the deep learning track, which comes soon. So the way we are going to be running the deep learning track is we actually have specialized fields like computer vision, natural language processing, and fields such as that, just speech recognition. But these are pretty much computer vision and natural language processing are the two main fields we are going to be specializing in, seeing how we can come up with effective solutions for societal problems with. So that's going to be project based as well, whereby we just have a big computer vision goal we want to hit, and we start learning the basics up to advanced methods of computer vision from there, right? So we teach you of course we cherry pick the mathematics again meant for all of those things, and strategically place them in places that we think you absolutely need to apply them, not just need to know them but need to apply them. So that's pretty much the deep learning track as well. So this is just a high level overview of the three main tracks for the PML course. Yeah, so before I go on, of course, George, do you have anything? Yeah. Okay.
So about the prerequisite track, I think we're still going to give them the syllabus. The syllabus is there, right, for us to work with. You have 5 weeks. For every of this week, we have a target. Like Steven has told you, in the first week we are looking at design thinking. Okay, in week 2 you'll be coming to NumPy. These are basic libraries that if you know how to work with those tools, especially you know how to work with arrays, how to vectorize your list and the rest of that, it's going to be very easy down the road. So in week 2 I think we focus on NumPy. Okay, then week 3 you see how you can use other tools like Matplotlib to plot graphs. Okay, how to visualize whatever data you have, because it's you know how to work with numbers is quite different, but how do you tell this story to somebody that is not within your field? How do you tell this story? How do you visualize this to somebody? Exactly, how do you communicate this out? So that's where your visualization comes in. Now, apart from you communicating it out, you want to see some inner structure within your data set. Okay, that mere numbers cannot just give to you. You also have to visualize the codes. Then thereafter, you also have pandas, which is a lovely tool for data pre-processing and wrangling. Then you also have Seaborn. Wow, Seaborn, that's another data visualization tool that we are also going to learn. So within these 5 weeks, we are going to be fitting these things. Okay, so we just have to, we are doing this so that you'll be ready for the machine learning track itself, because when it comes to the machine learning track, you are trying to build a model per se, but building the model is just one small aspect of the whole work you're going to do. Most projects you're going to do, you spend close to 80% of your time trying to prepare the data, okay, before you apply it to your machine learning model. So that's why this prerequisite track, it's very, very important. Okay, so as we move on, you're still going to get more about these things. So I think Steven should just continue. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And really, just to add to that, is it's a very progressive course, and 1 week of knowledge built on that of the other, and that it's not it's a very progressive course. Pretty much, it's kind of very linear in progression, and that's what we're trying to look at. One particular week, previous week A builds on the or previous week B, sorry, builds on the knowledge from previous week A and things like that. So if you're going to be missing a particular week, then it's going to be pretty much hard for you to catch up. Although we kind of have policies in place for making sure that that doesn't happen, but at least there's a recovery mechanism for when that happens. But definitely it's a very progressive course, meaning that's why it's a prerequisite track, then a machine learning track, then it's a deep learning track, because each and every week builds upon themselves for a more concrete understanding of the entire AI enterprise or practical workflow. And so absolutely, it's a prerequisite track that you shouldn't miss at all. And in fact, the point is, we are so strict that if you actually miss a prerequisite track and you can't prove to us that you can survive in the machine learning main track, then we won't allow you into the program. And these are kind of mechanisms we are putting, because we really just don't want numbers themselves, of course, but want to see how we can make impact using our particular technique that we used to run the course. So that's what we're looking at. So going forward, so there's a particular joke we threw around, and it's when we really think of our program, it's really as a careful mix of Lambda School. Of course, most of us, I'm sorry for the typo here. I'm feeling embarrassed now. Sorry for the typo there. So what you think about a mix of Lambda schools, agile and rigorous bootcamp techniques. So Lambda, of course, is one of the most popular online boot camps out there, with about 9 months of rigorous curriculum. And so when you think of our program, you should think of it as a mix of Lambda schools, agile and rigorous bootcamp technique of about running for 7 8 months, 9 months plus. Then of course plus Udacity and Coursera's content creation method. So the way we kind of present information to you, it's pretty much about the level of Coursera and Udacity, because most of the content we've curated have not just been picked alone by the instructors of the course, but as well as also by course facilitators, guest facilitators that of course from the industry, as you would see going forward in the course. Of course, they've also helped us in structuring the curriculum and knowing which content we should pick for which particular week or not. And lastly, masterclasses expert collection of facilitators. So we have guest speakers, and these are speakers from industries, and they are not just speakers from industries and not just speakers who actually work as data scientists or machine learning engineers. They're actually speakers who have written best-selling books in the space of machine learning, who have actually worked with companies like Google, companies like YouTube, and of course are currently working as lead data scientists or vice presidents of data science teams and so forth. So these are the expert collection of facilitators, just like so. These are very common online platforms: Lambda, Udacity, Masterclass. Just think of our program pretty much as a mix of the three, and all in one cohort, and all of them are all learner and community centric, because each and every step we took in planning this for you is about how can the learners be comfortable, how can they get the optimal benefit of everything in this course. That's how we used to actually plan. That was the kind of design framework we used to plan the particular course there. Yeah, so making sure that it's learner and community centric, making sure that you are put first in whatever plan we do, because that's pretty much what we think education should be: inclusive and accessible. Yeah. So overall, pretty much think of our program as think of our learning program as a mix of empathetic human connection. You get to have physical classrooms. It's not just an online platform for you to get through our content. You get to meet people physically, you get to connect, you get to bond. Of course, as you can see in the image on the left, you get to study with people, you get to share ideas and so forth. Now of course, with mentorship programs as well, having mentorship sessions with our expert facilitators, educators as well as other instructors and mentors on ground from the community. So it's a mix of these two: empathetic human connection plus educational technology. Of course, we know how disruptive that is becoming, and this is one reason why we talk about a radical change in the educational system, because these two themselves give us this radical change we're talking about. Because we have educational technology helping to personalize learning of learners these days and having to put learners first, we have a radical change in the education system whereby everyone is not just of course we talk about study groups, everyone are not just competing against each other, but instead of course moving to the next century of collaboration, making sure that they collaborate with each other rather than compete against each other to come out on top in a particular program. So we have incentives in place, assessment methods in place to make sure that we encourage collaboration over competition. And that's why if you go back to our mission, we are seeing a way we can build competency through collaboration. So these are all the yin yang, or kind of rolling back and forth through our vision and mission. Yeah. So of course, educational technology, the platform we are using a learning management platform. It's called Moodle. It's an open source platform whereby it's just like the experience you have, maybe not the typical experience you have with Udacity, going through Udacity or Coursera or whatever data camp or whatever platform you go through, but it's just pretty much we have contents we curate each week and we upload them each week to because we've done a little bit of scientific research and seeing why people don't actually complete online courses and things like that, and we try to see ways whereby we can cope that as well. So we use Moodle for our learning management platform. You can check about learning management systems online and seeing how that space of educational technology is actually helping personalize learning for people. So our major goal is how can we make sure that we are building competency through learning personalization, as well as building collaboration through the study groups programs that we hold and mentorship programs. So that's pretty much the high level big picture 10,000 foot view of what we're talking about. Yeah, so our radical, or in quotes, disruptive model of training and educating. So we use what we call the blended and flipped model of learning. So a mix of online learning content and offline learning content, face to face, a mix of online learning and face to face model is pretty much what we do. And what we talk about the flip model is about when you meet in the classroom, it's about working on projects. You're working on projects with the facilitator, you're working on projects with the instructors, and not just learning through content. Like we're going back to what we said, it's about we care about what you can do, not what you know. So what you know can be gotten from Google, or can be gotten from anywhere, or can be gotten from the way we curate content for you during the week. Then on the weekends, when you get to come and meet your instructors, it's about working on projects. So your instructor can effectively see the people who are actually problem solvers or not, and see how he can help. Of course, he or she can help with the making sure that the right people are getting the right content, and people who actually know the thing can help guide people who don't know the thing through projects and so forth. So blended and flipped learning models of learning are pretty much ways of disrupting this educational system, or bringing about radical change in the educational system that we currently have, or training systems per se. So yeah, so explaining this particular phenomenon outside of the classroom, here's pretty much what you're going to be doing. So we are going to be going through our online content we've curated with our learning management platform. You're going to be having study group sessions, which are very compulsory at our partner hubs or venues with accessible program mentors. So of course your program mentors get to decide which times they are actually available, and they're actually mandated based on policies to be available for you at some specific periods of time. So you have to agree with them on the time you'll be available with them. We of course have because if there's one thing we believe is education is meant to make you is meant to make the world a better place, right? Because it deals with the individual directly, well, compared to other social processes. Education is one medium, in fact we believe the major medium to make sure the world becomes a better place. So we don't just believe in you gaining skills, also we believe in kind of training you to be responsible for yourself, to grow in things like leadership. Because one thing is for sure, that we believe that leadership is a fundamental solution in fixing our world. And if we can develop leaders in everything we do, whether it's giving our skills, making sure that leadership is also developed in the people we are giving our skills to, we can make the world a better place through these people we breed, that of course that are personally responsible for their growth as well as the growth of the society. So leadership and professional development programs and trainings are of course a part of our outside of the classroom programs. Then of course we have the self-paced individual research and development based self-paced individual research and development based on the community created content. So like we said, we actually have to teach you how to learn, not just what to learn. And that's the age where we're going to, if you're an individual and you can research things on your by yourself, always depending on content given to you. Like I said, it's not about what you know anymore, it's about what you can do. So even as much as there's lots of information out there, it's always good you need to know how to learn yourself. And that's through our programs, the way we structured our programs. We try to make sure that you are also an independent individual researcher of content, individual researcher of knowledge, and of course seeker of knowledge as well. So it's one thing that happens outside of the classroom for us as well. Then of course learning personalization with analytics. So with our educational technology, we talked about our learning management platform earlier. These help us with targeting the individual learners and making sure that we actually can assess the individual competency of learners. Because one thing we believe is kind of fundamentally wrong with our education system is that it's a one size fit all program, right? And that's a huge problem we are having, because not every learner is the same. Pretty much we of course know that not every learner is the same, but with learning personalization with technology and analytics, we can be able to know and kind of play to each learner's strengths pretty much. So that's really one of the things that happens outside the classroom. Then coming inside of the classroom, we have expert talks and workshops from industry leading experts and practitioners. We're going to be showing you some of them in a couple of minutes or so. These are expert facilitators, and these are actually people who bring in their industry experience, and that's one of the key reasons as well why it's a practical machine learning course, because these are people who are actually guiding you through programs, and not just people who just are instructors or who are just instructors or tutors. They're actually people who have enough experience in the space to guide you and tell you, look, this is how it works in the enterprise, this is how it works in the industry, this is how it works in an applied sense. And that's really one of the key things that happens inside of the training room or inside of the classroom. You get to receive workshops from people from people like some Google developer advocates, or some people who are running their startups or running their companies, and have effectively worked on data science projects and are effectively working on data science projects, whether it's nationally in Nigeria or internationally away from Nigeria. You get to learn at their feet pretty much, whether it's through their talks or workshops. Then inside of the classroom, everything you do is project and problem based. I cannot really emphasize this enough. If we go through the syllabus, pretty much everything you do inside of the classroom, 90% of classroom time is about solving problems, simulated problems. We try to simulate the real world inside of the classroom. So it's about that's what we're trying to do, making sure we simulate the real world, the industry pretty much inside of the classroom. So everything you do, it's about solving problems. Is going to be project and problem based learning 90% of the time in the classroom. So it's something you should also take note of. And study group engagement and collaboration on projects. So we try to try different aspects of learning improvement, like things like gamification of learning, seeing how we can gamify the learning across study groups, increase learner engagements. Pretty much we try different techniques we see out there, different disruptive techniques on how we can engage learners. And study group engagement is pretty much one of the core of what we do. Study groups working on projects together, giving presentations together, and all of those things, trying to build each other together. So that's one of the key things that happen inside of the classroom. Then industry and workplace simulation projects, like we said, we try to look around in our local society, things like what's happening in Port Harcourt, things like problems around healthcare, retail, supply chain. I will try to see if we don't have the adequate data for such, but we can actually see a data close to such, then we can actually simulate that same problem that's happening in our local society like Port Harcourt in the classroom, right? Whether it's a healthcare or whether it's a retail or things like that. So that's what we try to believe in. Yes, we might not have the necessary infrastructure in place for solving data problems right now, but if we don't build the engineers who are willing and ready to solve these problems, then we really can't just fold our hands and leave things happen that way. So industry and workplace simulation projects are some of the key things that really happen in the inside of the classroom. And of course, the class and project guidance from course instructors to help you solve problems and not just learn contents, right? Anybody can learn contents these days, and in fact we encourage anybody to learn contents these days, whether it's online, whether it's through blog posts, whether it's through video contents, through podcasts, or through pretty much any medium. You can gain knowledge anytime, anyway these days. You can gain knowledge is accessible as ever. Google, Bing, wherever method you can gain knowledge these days, you can gain it. Now we are not here to really teach you what you can do or what we expect that in fact you should be able to do. We're actually here to teach you what you should be able to know. We're actually here to teach you what you need to do, and of course for effective problem solving. And I think I've exhausted that. I don't know if George has anything to add to that.
Okay. So like Stella has told you, we are combining different strategies. Okay, we have online session and we also have out of the class session. Okay, now you're spending more time on your own because of the materials to be given to you. So we want it in such a way that when you're done with this program and you want to continue, you want to have some other advanced programs, you can be independent. Okay, look for a way to get information for wherever you want to get it, and not just getting it like I said, how do I apply what I've gotten online, because we have tons of information everywhere. Okay, you're looking for something, you just pick up your phone and then you buzz it out. But that information I've gotten, how do I apply this? So that's the reason we are using these different methods, okay, to teach you, so that you're learning this content. You have people with you that basically when we give you projects, instead of us to make this project to be individual based, okay, we still want you to work with others. So we try to say, okay, have this collaboration. Okay, you have a team to work with, see how you can come up with your different ideas and put something very nice together. Okay, so we are blending these contents together, we are blending these methods together to help you, because we've gone through these processes. Okay, we've been learning and we are still learning, and we've seen the methods, trends that works, exactly, trends that don't work. Okay, and so that's why we're trying to blend it in to see how we can help you achieve this better. Okay, so that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about how you can be independent or your own to learn content, because future ready learners or future ready students or future ready adults or future ready individuals are those that can be independent with whatever, be independent researchers on their own. These are people who pretty much know how to learn about things, because you're going to be having lots of revolution going forward. All jobs are going to be lost, of course, through automation. And all of these things. So it's all about how you can learn fast. And through this program, we assure you that it's going to pretty much give you that skill, whether it's directly or indirectly, whether you want to get it directly or indirectly. It's about teaching you that skill of how to learn and how to learn fast, because the world changes so rapidly, and you need to really keep up with the pace of innovation. And really, that's pretty much one of the key things we look at. So of course, just referencing George's last point about study groups, the thing about study groups is in the workplace you don't actually work in silos, and that's a problem. You don't work in silos, you work with colleagues, you work with cross-functional teams, and you get to work with the finance department to get data from them on how you can effectively improve the processes of the marketing department, and you're also cross-functional in that way. But in the classroom, your typical traditional classroom settings, you are all silos, you're on individual desks, and just getting contents that way. But this way, we just want to make sure that it's a flip side of that, right? You get to work with people to make sure that things are achievable, and that's why the whole narrative around trying to simulate the workplace in the classroom is pretty much what we're trying to do. Yeah. So just zooming into our study group program, we have four major packages for our study group program. So we have the leadership development model for training. So we have a special model for that to make sure that the leader in you is pretty much developed throughout the program, whether it's through you taking up leadership roles in the study group, or through various things like volunteering for some social good causes in your study group, trying to make sure that you reach out to making sure that your study group members are not slacking off, because that will pretty much affect you and affect your grade pretty much going forward. So those are things we do. Then we have weekly study group assessment policies, meaning an individual cannot just derail a study group. We have policies in place to make sure that individuals are slacking off. Of course, first giving the benefit of doubt by switching them across study groups. Then if they don't work, they actually get to leave the program based on the student policy they have in store. Of course, we'll go through the student policy going forward for that. So it's a weekly study group assessment policy, meaning each and every week we evaluate each and every study groups. I will try to see if for 2 consecutive weeks we see that there's a slack off in an individual's performance, we try to change that individual, of course giving him or her the benefit of doubt across teams, across study groups. And if they still don't improve, we try to make sure, okay, look, you can't really continue with us, because these are policies we've actually set in place before then. So this is just to make sure that everyone's working. No one is, you don't use the study group to cover up for incompetency. Everyone is working towards competency, and that's being collaborative. Yeah. So of course, third package, we have project-based learning through select societal problems. So we look at the challenges we face in Port Harcourt, Nigeria, Africa in general, and challenges we think it might face based on projection, and we see how we can prepare our learners in the study group for that. Then mentorship programs, my word. Mentorship programs are from some expert facilitators are actually willing to oversee the growth of students. So we have mentors in place, of course, who are both experts in the space, and as well trying to yes, okay, sorry about that. Yeah. So mentors are as well growing, and as well kind of ahead of study groups, and seeing how they can help make them stand on the shoulders of giants pretty much. So it help you avoid those pitfalls and all of those mistakes they've made, to make sure that you emerge on top and pretty fast. Yeah. So move fast and break stuff. I'm not trying to read Facebook here, but it's just one of the thematic ideas we're looking at. Yeah. Okay. So the whole idea, pretty much, you have study groups learning collaboratively, and you're working on projects, hands-on learning, pretty much in tandem with your facilitators. So your facilitators are now working hand in hand with you as a coach, rather than just teachers or tutors. They're actually working with you as a coach to make sure that you are actually growing, because you are doing stuff and they are observing the stuff you're doing, and they're telling you, okay, fine, these are the ways you should do it, these are the ways you shouldn't do it, because they are not just tutors now, they are also mentors, and they are coaching you as well for the thing. So that's pretty much the whole idea of the entire thing we've just summarized. So we have also, there's one thing you need to know as well. We also use a grading system, because we believe at the end of this course we need to be able to rank, and in this case, this is where the surprising part comes in. We don't rank individuals. Funny enough, we really don't rank individuals. We rank our grades according to study group. So when you talk about typical education system, you have a first class, you have just one emerger of a first class. In this case now, the first class is actually an entire study group. It's not just one person. Imagine as a first class mentor, a student or something like that. So it's actually a study group. Right. So of course, one thing you should also note is the performance of a study group actually depends on each and every individual in the study group. If each and every individual in the study group are kind of performing, then of course the study group gets to go on a rampage, also a rampage of success. But if just one individual is slacking off, then it actually has the ability to drop the grades of the study group based on how we've structured that. So, but for our grading system, the grading policy for our learners program just follows one principle, and that's really your success must mean the success of your teammates, and that's the leadership. That's the leader we're trying to grow in you, right? It's not just about me. It's about how you can be selfless enough to help those around you, help your next neighbor to really help push to success as well, just as you are striving for success and things like that. Yeah, and that's why we have policies in place to make sure that even when you're trying to help your neighbor and they don't really want to be helped, of course they can't drop your grades down, they can't mean failure for you. You have to push on and you have to leave them, and we would really take care of them if they don't really want to follow you to the road of success, on the path of success. So just a high level overview. It's actually, the grade of course is 100% for total grades, but 70% of the total grades actually focuses on your participation, overall participation in the study group. Yeah, pretty much it's about how well you contribute to the study group, and that's pretty much 70% of your grades, and 30% involves your individual assessment, right? But funny enough, for a study group, each and every individual actually determines the success of the study group. So if 2% of the if two individuals are failing in a study group of 5, be rest assured that the rest 3 won't progress much, pretty much, and so forth. So just look at that way. If just one person is failing, be rest assured that that doesn't guarantee success for the entire group if they can't really lift that person up. And of course, if that person doesn't want to be followed, if that person doesn't want to follow and trail the path of success, just like our colleagues, then of course through our policy programs we get to take care of that. So that's it. 100% total grades, 70% overall participation in study groups, then 30% of individual assessment. Now of course you might be saying that this is actually an entire flip of what you know in your classroom. Your total 100% pretty much is always about you in the classroom, but right now it's not about you anymore. In fact, 70% is about how you can actually contribute to your particular study group, rather than just doing things on your own. And this is one of the ways we encourage collaboration. We forcefully encourage collaboration rather than competition, because our world needs collaboration. We don't need competitors anymore. We need people who are selfless enough to solve problems in their society and help ensure the success of others as well, not just themselves. Yeah. George, do you have anything to comment on? Okay, so I can move on with this. So I think it's time to really tour the syllabus. So I'm just going to go through a high level overview of the syllabus. What's wrong with the internet? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, alright, so the internet is down right now, but I'm just going to go through immediately. So of course once the internet is back up, we'll go through the syllabus again. But going forward, okay, I really hope it's something that we know that it's something that is definitely going to be surprising for you to say, and definitely new, and that's why we call it the radical change in the educational system, because we want to make sure that these things are, because we know that the traditional system is flawed, inherently flawed in fact, and the academics these days are very risk averse when it comes to trying to change that, but we are just a bunch of young people seeing how we can change that on our own. If these academics are risk averse enough to not ensure the progress of others based on education being an actual call for building a better world, then we as young people are actually going out there to make sure that that works for the educational system, and actively working on that inclusive and sustainable education and accessible education for growth and progress. Right, so just before we go back to the syllabus while the internet tries to come up, so hold on that. Alright, so while the internet tries to come up, we just go through the pricing options for the task. Of course, we are a non-profit social enterprise, and what we try to do is try to make sure that everything we are doing is accessible, right? So what we did was we tried to make since we lacked sponsors for this program, we reached out to sponsors and frankly didn't get favorable responses for this, but nevertheless we made the prerequisite track free, but we're also trying to make sure that the main tracks are affordable for people. So I was at an an in-person face-to-face orientation on Saturday. That was this last Saturday. That was I think 29th of February, I guess. Yeah. So, and people were like, how much is it? And it's actually going to be very, very affordable for you. We are looking for means whereby it's going to be very affordable for you. We are trying different models. Of course, the program by subscription, so you can subscribe for the program on a monthly basis. You can pay some certain fees, but be rest assured that it's not going to be expensive. It's pretty much going to be under about 40,000 naira, 30,000 naira, just that range. I'm just speculating. It could be lesser than that, or it could be just around that range. And as we are just trying to make sure that everything we do, trying to make sure that it's going to be accessible for you. And you, of course, you might ask, why is there a program fee? I thought you guys were volunteers and so forth. So here's the thing that you should know is most of the technologies, sorry about that, all right, yeah, so here's the thing that you should know, that most of the educational technologies we are going to be using are actually paid. Hosting Odoo, which is of course our learning management platform, is actually a paid stuff. So it's something that, since we didn't receive sponsors, that of course you have to pay program fee. Of course, with program fee, you also get the added benefits of subscription to platforms like Moodle. Sorry, not just Moodle, Brilliant.org. If you know, Brilliant.org is actually an online math and science platform for you to really grasp the content of what we're trying to do. So if you get to pay the program fee, you also get to engage in that. Then of course the program fee also helps the community and get ahead in technologies and seeing how we can also be fund sustainable as well. But majorly the reason for the program fee is just to cater for all the things like the subscriptions we are going to be having for learners and so forth. So but it's pretty much, we are going to make it very affordable. We can, of course, whereby you can do one-off payments, or you can subscribe to a monthly payment or a weekly payment, or whatever payment or whatever plan works best for you. Like we said, we are being learner and community centric, making sure that we can make it as easy as possible for you to really work on stuff, for you to really and get through and work on the content. So that's it. So let me go through to the syllabus now. The internet is back up. Alright, so this is up already. As you can see, it's of course offered by Harcourt School of AI 2020 cohort, and immediately you can see here it's an online based and a classroom based class, and that confuses people a lot because it's not something they are pretty much used to, and it's pretty much, and that's the radical change we are talking about as well. Not just online platforms using to learn, but how can you have the human connection? The empathetic human connection is extremely important for us to really build empathy in people that can actually be empathetic problem solvers, pretty much. So that's one thing with it. And the course style is a blended learning style, both online and offline synchronous classes. So online, it's at your own pace, that's during the weekdays, and offline, face to face, you have to be in classroom the same time everyone else is in the classroom. So that's pretty much the style. Then the prerequisite track, of course, like I said, is 5 weeks to complete. Main track, 21 weeks to complete, and we estimate you spending about 10 hours per week for maximum benefits in the course. 10 hours per week on the prerequisite track. That's about 50 hours, which seems like a lot, and that's the rigor in the program we're talking about. And the main track, of course, 15 hours per week. You could spend lesser than that. We're just saying that this is probably the most ideal number of hours you should probably spend on the course. Then we have a course login. This is for our learning management platform, so you could go through all of this. So we're coming to the prerequisites for the course. So you need intermediate knowledge in Python. And of course, this means we really expect you to understand Python object-oriented programming model. These are few things. Be familiar with data structures, like dictionaries, lists, and so on. Of course, be able to use built-in functions as well as write your own functions. We expect you to know that already. We expect you to be able to use iterators and list comprehensions and generators. So these are things that we expect you to know coming for this program, because we don't expect to teach that anymore, pretty much. So we expect that our learners actually get to know this. Sorry, let me take that out. And of course, an optional knowledge of SQL or SQL, because there, of course, during the machine learning track, there's going to be a session whereby you get to play with cloud machine learning a lot, and of course, using things like database querying and all of those things, you really need the skill of SQL. The knowledge of SQL query language. It doesn't have to be advanced. It's just the use of just basic SQL queries, just basic commands, and so forth. The knowledge of advanced queries is just a plus for you. So we also provided some platforms whereby you can learn Python up to speed. LearnPython.org is a brilliant place whereby you can get to go through the Python tutorials. Of course, probably adds data camp also. You could have your own special places. These are just places we are suggesting free tutorials from. Then we also have Khan Academy's amazing tutorial on intro to SQL. So it's something you can stay a week or two and just go through, dedicated yourself, and practice, and you get to learn about it. So that's pretty much it from there. So you get to know your instructors as well. Of course, one of your instructors is his name is Philip Obiora. Is based in Port Harcourt. Is Google Cloud Developers co-lead Port Harcourt. Is also a PhD researcher in machine learning at the University of Port Harcourt in Port Harcourt. Of course, you have Boma George, who of course recently spoke to you. Of course, is also known as George White in the University of Port Harcourt, and he's an academic coach in mathematics and statistics with over 5 years of tutorship experience, and he's also the tech lead of Smart Tech Global, of course, a firm that trains and provides software solution. And of course, myself for the microphone currently, data science consultant, and like I said, I really love the art of teaching, and of course I'll also be serving as an instructor. Sorry about all these. Alright, so I think going forward you would also be adding more instructors, about 2 or 3 instructors that will be taking specific areas on the course. So you should always check back for syllabus. So these are contact information as well. So we have the course goal here. You can all come and check this out after the course. It's absolutely free, so I think I can correct our mistakes here. Use expert, yeah. So learning outcomes as well. We actually divided the learning outcomes into 3 different outcomes. Knowledge outcomes, so you should know what you expect to know after the course, or not just expect to know, but pretty much what you expect to be able to do as well. So we have behavioral outcomes. Of course, you should be able to do stuff. So what in your behavior changes? What's the typical Fred who enrolled in the program by March? What would he be able to do? What would be a change in his behavior by whatever August, October, or whatever time the program ends towards the end of the year? So appreciative outcomes, what knowledge can you really appreciate these days? What kind of phenomenon you'll be able to appreciate after going through the course? These are, so you can always check those out. So the various tracks, guest speakers, also instructional procedures, we've also explained that a lot, so you could go through that in details through these. Communication media, community teaching and instruction philosophy, what we believe in. Do you really believe in what we believe in? How we disseminate knowledge as instructors or as community lifelong learning program managers. Then of course we have recommended study habits we would love to give out. The reason why we haven't uploaded these yet is we're actually looking a lot on research papers, on advices from people in the educational space, reaching them on Twitter, reaching them via personal email, cold emailing them to get compile the best recommended study habits for you. It's not just about people out there internationally as well. We're looking at people who are doing amazing stuff in the educational sector in Nigeria, and how they have worked with students over time and what are the best study habits for that. So we are doing effective research on that. There are learner policies that will be updated on 10th of March. Then you also have practice and participation criteria. Of course, we have textbooks for recommended for the courses as well, and these are the three, of course, textbooks. And one thing to know for sure is if you enroll for the main program, if you actually want a print copy of any of these books actually published by Packets Publishing Company, we have a partnership in place. They're actually supporting us, Packets Publishing Company, to provide discounts to students that will order the print books. So typically you can find these print books about $38, $40 these days, but I think with our partnership you can probably get them under $10 or $15, the print book in fact, and that's a massive discount when it comes to that. So we have the required software as well for you to go through. So as you can see, I mean, it's you have for each week there's a particularly new lesson, and of course for the week of March we started with as of the time of this recording, 7th of March. So we sent out learning content related to design thinking, getting people to think like engineers and approach problem solving. So these are the projects or in classroom practice. Inside the classroom, of course, we say we are working on projects. Of course, these are your instructors and these are your guest facilitators. And for that, and maybe I didn't introduce the guest facilitators, but I think I can effectively do that now. So I should have turned that on, but that's definitely something. So these are going to be slots for instructors. Currently we are still placing instructors, and you can always check back, but these are your guest facilitators, and you can see their profile below as well to see that these are actually people who are actually practicing practitioners. And that's tautology, but yeah, so these are actually people who are practitioners in this space. And of course you can see Dr. Sebastian Raschke, quite popular in the space as well, is the author of the Python machine learning book. He's also an academic, assistant professor of statistics at the University of Wisconsin-Madison in the US. Of course you have SciAC, but we have up to like 3 GDEs and going. You can see them. Of course these are not just international experts but national experts as well in the space. Rising Odegwa, Frank Ekanam, and so on. So you can always come back and check your guest facilitators, as we'll keep updating them until 15th of March. That's when we actually get the full list, and you can check back for the full list. Yeah, so I'm just going to launch so I'm going to go to our album to show you some of the faces. So if you go through our announcement blog posts, you see most of these are most of our expert facilitators. So as you can see, for the prerequisite track we have these people, and these are just the first batch, by the way. Pretty soon we are going to be releasing, at least on or before 15th of March, we are going to be releasing the second batch of amazing speakers. So these are them. Also you can always check back and get to work with these people. Yeah, these are the people that are pretty much going to facilitate your sessions alongside instructors. So away from that, like I said, it's just about 21 weeks, like pretty much every Saturday. That's how intense it is. But fingers crossed. So I will leave you to check back when your spare time, when that is. So really, what happens after completing the course? It's all fun and games, it's all talk and everything, but we expect that you, of course, with partnerships in place, we expect that you get to get job opportunities, because things like not just we are going to be teaching you in-demand professional soft skills as well. Things like proposal writing, whatever soft skills, communication skills. All of those skills you need to thrive in the workplace. Pretty much we're going to be taking you all of those, so you should be able to be job ready or career ready at the end of the program. Internship opportunities nationally and globally in partnership with some of the exchange organizations like ISEC and potentially others. ISEC is pretty much the only one we have on ground now for internships, and exchange programs. Only partners we have now for that. Of course, participate in statewide and nationwide hackathons. So Port Harcourt School of AI is actually going to be handling the statewide hackathon this year. It's called NASA Space Apps Port Harcourt. It's the third edition this year, and it's a statewide hackathon. And it's also, you're going to be participating in that to show off your skills and of course win tons of prizes, as well as a nationwide hackathon hosted by Data Science Nigeria. We expect that you should be able to attend that, and of course gain even more ground for internship roles and work with companies based on your skills you show and what you can do. They work with a startup. So we currently have a startup we are currently working with, Events Paddy. So Events Paddy is saying a way we can get our learners on board them to work on real world startup projects. Like, that's a real startup, so you get to work with them after completing the program. And and we're also looking to work with other startups going forward as well. So we keep on announcing with a couple of 2, 3, 4 startups we are going to be working with, and we're going to be onboarding interested learners into their organizations for a period of time with as well. Workers, whether you contract staffs or you're just working with to develop solutions. Then of course start a startup if you're willing to. If you have an idea you want, so we have people we can meet for VC backing, investments, startup nurturing programs, startup mentoring programs. We definitely have those people on ground. Venture capitalists that would want to invest in your idea. So far it's viable, and so far of course it's something that you have a working prototype, they will be able to willing to invest. And we have of course Kent Ariwa Foundation, willing to provide you with startup nurturing programs, mentorship programs, and so forth. Then you also have the chance to become an instructor for community programs right after the course as well. So the learners pretty much we envision at the end of this program are, we envision leaders for people who come out of the program. We envision leaders because we need the need for learners to really take personal responsibility for their growth as well as the growth of others. So whether directly or indirectly, you get to learn leadership skills based on our ways of strategically making sure that we position our programs for you. Then of course, an empathetic problem solving, the need for learners to always be passionate about solving the society's most worrisome problems, because each and every time you spend in a classroom is about problem solving. So if you go through that for about 21 or so weeks, there's no how you won't develop that habit to solve problems, to always constantly look at problems to solve. And that's really much what we are looking at as well, pretty much what we're looking at. So before I really go on, George, do you see anything that learners have problems with that you think this course might also correct?
Okay. Now, when it comes to learning, getting information down to your head, there are a lot of issues that I've encountered with students. One of them is, if you don't get them that active, they come and then you give them information, you let them go. Most of them tend to be lazy. They go home, they close their laptop or whatever they've studied. Most people, they will come to class and then they will take notes, but after classroom the notes is just there. They are not really opening the note to look at them, to look at what they have there. So that's one of the things we are trying to solve here. We engage you. You can't just go home and close your laptop. That is impossible, because we are going to be giving you things to take care of. When you get home, you have no option than to flip open your laptop, see how you can solve what we've given to you. Go through the notes you've written in class, see how you can make sense of what was said. We won't give you that space to just be there idle after you must have learned. You must practice it. Most times you learn something now, or you go through some videos, you go through a book and you say, oh, I get it, but you find out that you didn't get anything until you try it yourself. When you try to say, that's when you see that you've made mistakes and the rest of that what you think you actually got, you didn't actually get it. So you're going to be active all through. all through your stay in this course, you're going to be active. You can't be idle. That's one of the things we are trying to take care of here, because we find out that that's one big issue. Now, you're spending time with us. Let's say for the week, we are giving you, for the prerequisite track, we are giving you 10 hours, but we are saying, okay, you should be able, optimal 10 hours. You should spend 10. But what's happening to the remaining hours you have during that week? Okay, you have to make use of that time. And believe me, when it comes to a practical course like this, or when it comes to acquiring skill, it's less of what you learn but more of what you practice. So you have to apply these things yourself. If you come and then we teach you everything we want to teach you, you decide you don't want to practice it, you would know nothing. So you have to practice these things yourself. Okay, so that's why we are doing this. We are trying to engage you all too, so you will have no excuse than to practice everything you learn. Okay.
Yes, absolutely, and I agree so much with George, and it's pretty much the theme of what we've been talking about. He's been talking about active, and one thing we probably forgot to mention, which is quite important, is the difference between passive learning, which is of course what the traditional education system gives to you, and of course active learning, making sure that each and every time you spend learning is actually well spent. Really, it's not just about passively taking in content. It's about actively applying whatever you're learning. So it's about performance. It's about what you can do rather than what you know. And spinning back to Michael Allen's quote from the beginning of the orientation that we talked about. So we are actively always looking for ways to engage you as much as we can. What's in our head is, how can we engage learners? We try different techniques. How can we engage learners? Pretty much is always what's in our head, and that's the one core thing we look at when we're trying to see where we can plan for class time or outside of class time, is how can we actively, each and every time, how can we actively engage learners? That's really what's in our head. And each time things like that come up, we try to see, okay, how can this be active enough for people? Is this something that people would easily just jump in through, and they will get the needed value from it based on application rather than content consumption, all of these things. So that's pretty much the big picture of it. So once again, iterating, we hope that at the end of this program you are the leader we really hope you to be, hope for you to be, sorry. And of course, you're also an empathetic problem solver, looking around your neighborhood, looking around the society, looking at the world at large, seeing the problems you can solve, and without constraint or without conservativeness, going out there, solving the problems that plague our society so much. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much that for the course. Of course, we've come to the end of the orientation of the course, so I'll just pretty much jump right in. If you have any questions for the course, of course, you can reach out to us. Our website is there. Then of course, we'll also share the links to the slides in the YouTube description of the orientation, so you can reach out to us. Of course, our contact details will be in the description as well, so you can check the description and get to reach out to us if you have any other questions. By the way, like we said, since it's empathetic human connection, the most ideal people for this course are people who actually, okay, I think we didn't mention that, but the most ideal people for this course are people who actually first stay in Port Harcourt. No, stop. We won't put that first. First, they are willing to learn. Yeah, they are willing to learn. They are willing to really put in the work to learn. Secondly, they stay in Port Harcourt. 3, optimally, if you actually want to change a career into the AI and machine learning space, or get the knowledge of, you want to make a career out of machine learning, engineering, data science, and so on, this course is actually going to be most ideal for you. Right, so but if you're not really looking to dedicate that much time, you may not get the optimal benefits of the course, right, as what we planned. But it's pretty much for people who actually stay in Port Harcourt, just for the empathetic human connection, people who are willing to learn, and people who are willing to collaborate with people, because if you're not willing to collaborate with people at all, you're not going to survive in the course as well. So you should really take note of that. Take note of those qualities. I'm going to reiterate once again. We're sorry we didn't put it on the slide, but first of all, of course, you must be willing to learn. That's number one. You must be willing to learn. Second, you must be willing to collaborate with people, right? Then third, you must be, of course, maybe a resident of Port Harcourt or close to Port Harcourt, if you can really shuffle that, of close to Port Harcourt. And fourth, you really want to change a career into machine learning or data science and see how it can help solve problems in your present field based on the in-depth knowledge you get. Or if you just entirely want to change your career or use the technology to come up with a solution, I think this course is quite optimal for you as the nature of it. So of course you can replay me as much as you can. That's the beauty of videos and online trainings like this that are not live. You can replay me as much as you can, so get to understand whatever I'm talking about. And of course, if you have any more questions, you can reach us in our contact spot. Yeah, so other Port Harcourt School of AI, of course, we call ourselves PHCSoAI, Port Harcourt School of AI initiatives coming up in this year. So we have AI Festival Nigeria. Of course, it's a festival, 2020, a festival bringing together practitioners, innovators, aspirants, and end users to connect, learn, and build together in Nigeria. Women in Data Science, of course, we have that initiative coming up by next week. That's today is March 7th, so by March 14th we should be partnering with Harina Talents to make sure that Women in Data Science conference happens in Port Harcourt, of course in commemoration with the International Women's Day, of course in this month of March. So we have the call for instructors as well. That's currently ongoing. We want to see how we can, build more empathy by seeing how we can bring people that can help people, and that's really one of the instructorship roles. So not everyone can become instructors, of course, but people who don't make it to being instructors can actually mentor people in the community. Whether you are in the program or not, they can actually mentor people in the community or mentor for our other programs like our children programs coming up. Children secondary school programs coming up. We definitely need mentors that can oversee the growth of children who are actually hoping to be future ready through these technologies. And of course, for there's Indaba X Nigeria 2020 coming up, which of course is the largest academic AI conference in Nigeria. And we've been part of the 10-man organizing team of the annual conference, and we try to make sure that this year will be even better during the host of it. So of course you can also become an contributor. Our blog and YouTube channels are open for member contributions, so you can contribute blog posts or videos. We'll be definitely happy to share the word, because all we are trying to do is making sure that we democratize AI knowledge and of course make it accessible. Now, of course, we have other programs. There are a bunch of other programs from us. You can follow us on Twitter, check our websites, follow our blog posts, and we're always making sure that we keep our community up to date with that. So with that, I think that comes to the end of the program. I think thanks at this point. If you have any questions on PML course, you can find us at Twitter, PHCSO School of AI. Tweet at us. We'll be willing to respond typically under 10 hours. That's too much. Well, pretty much as soon as we can, we try to respond. So YouTube, you can see some couple of our videos there. Of course, the slides will be available for that. Then phcschoolofai.org is our website, so you could check our email there. You can email us too at portharcourtschoolofai@gmail.com. That's again portharcourtschoolofai@gmail.com. So that's our personal Gmail for that, so you can reach us there as well. And I don't know if you have any last thoughts, George, for the listeners.
To start with, we're very sorry, though I know we promised you within less than 1 hour or so, but we've taken far more than that. All we're trying to do is we just want to make sure you should know what you expect, every bit of it, okay, every bit of what you should expect and the rest. So that's the reason it's a video, so you can play it, you get to a particular extent, you can continue later, you can replay it however many times you want, just to make sure that you're equipped, you're really ready for this course, okay. Go through what you should expect in this course, okay. So you can play it a couple of times, and like Mr. Steve has told you, you have any question, you can always reach out to us, okay. Look for a way you can contribute. We really need content. We need you to be one of our contributors, okay. You have blog posts, you have videos, you have creative ideas. Just you'll be surprised. You just put them out there, and then you see people calling on you because they want to collaborate with you and in bringing your ideas to limelight and the rest. Okay, so thanks a lot. I really appreciate. Once again, the name is George Buma Smith. You can reach me anytime. Okay. um okay, I think that's all I have.
Yeah, so thanks George for being here today, and thanks listeners for watching our content and listening to our voices. And we appreciate your time a lot. And of course, if you have any questions, once again, that's we are becoming a broken tape now. But if you have any questions, once again, you can reach out to us. I think with that, I think that's that. So wherever, if your decision is of course to enroll for the course, see you in class. If your decision isn't, definitely we'll definitely see a way we can push out, some of the contents from the inside classroom to our YouTube channel, so you can try following up from there. And if you want to, so thank you so much once again, and of course subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out other videos in our content blogs again as well. Then thanks, bye. uh, okay, so okay, is this stop? Okay.